Welcome back to the step-by-step on buying your first home. This is step 7 of the #1 trusted first-time homebuyer system in the U.S. And step 7 is going to bring you clarity by giving you the definitions that nobody slows down to explain. And that way you can stop Googling every third word during the home buying process. Play the music.
How to Buy a Home educates, protects, and connects first-time homebuyers to qualified vetted realtors in their area. Whether you're looking for DIY information or step-by-step guidance, How to Buy a Home is the #1 resource for first-time homebuyers.
What is the Happy Haps How to Buy a Homies? I'm your host, David Sidoni. Today, we're going to get into step 7, translating the real estate jargon that you need to know so you can walk into conversations with realtors and lenders and lawyers and inspectors and title people and escrow people and insurance agents without feeling like everybody else is speaking a foreign language. And it can get pretty tricky, like this big difference. You absolutely have to understand there is a colossal difference between a pre-qualified loan and a pre-approved loan. And then when they're telling you about the types of loans, there's a million of them. You've got conventional, jumbo, fixed. There's variable loans. There's ARMs, hybrid ARMs, high balance conforming. There are bank statement loans and even 1099 loans. And then to make things even more confusing, they use one word for a million different things. Like escrow, it literally, I think, means 7 or 8 different things. It's like aloha. Real estate people just decide to say escrow when they mean hello, goodbye, or how you doing. And the word broker, that one can be super maddening too, because there are real estate brokers, but there are also real estate agents that work for real estate brokers. And then with your lenders, you've got banks and lenders and lending institutions. Oh, and you guessed it, you also have mortgage brokers. And those can be different from a loan officer or someone who's helping you do your loan. And then when you finally get your offer accepted, you could be an escrow, or you could be under contract, or you could be conditionally accepted. And then while you're under contract, you have these very specific timelines that you have to meet. And they could be called contingencies, conditions, due diligence, or option periods. And all of those, even though they tell you that you have an accepted offer when you negotiate the price, those time periods, your offer is not accepted yet. You've got either 10 days, 15, 17, 30, 45 days, whatever you negotiated in the contract before your offer is actually officially accepted. So you might not even be guaranteed to get the home. Isn't that fun? And then people have questions about what's an appraisal? What are closing costs? What are loan points? What's title? And then there are all the real estate acronyms. Oh, the acronyms. You've got DTI, PITI, VA, CE, CD, FHA, LTV, PMI, EMD, COE, CMA, MLS, HOA, ARM, PUD, DOM, HUD, NHD, and oh my G, are you kidding me with all of this? So the bottom line with all the terms and definitions is that it's a lot. It's too much, actually. You see, everything that you need to know, all the terms, the definitions, the acronyms, and let's be honest, all those words that when you hear people say it, you just stare at them blankly and act like you know what they're saying. Yeah, that can get really overwhelming. So way back in the first 100 episodes, starting at episode 94, I explained everything that you need to know, all the terms and definitions from A to Z, broken down in layman's terms, so that you can comprehend everything in all your conversations. And then you can ask smarter questions and make better decisions with more confidence. So one of the things I recommend is, as you're getting serious about this, keep on going with these 10 steps in order, and then sprinkle in a terms and definition episode when you want to mix things up. It's not mandatory that you listen to all A to Z before you start your planning. In fact, you really shouldn't do that. That's why this is step 7. Because many of the terms that you're going to learn are going to be helpful for you in the beginning, and many of them you're not going to need for a while from now. So when it comes to your education, we want to make sure you're continuing to make progress. That's why I tell you follow the 10 steps and stay in order chronologically. Don't try to master all the terms and definitions from step 7 if you haven't completed everything in steps 1 through 6, especially that step number 2, getting your guides, your real estate support team, because they can help you with the definitions. And the reality is, if you're working with a team or you're interviewing a team and they're not willing to help you out with the definitions and the explanations, that's a pretty good sign that you're interviewing someone who doesn't have your best interest in mind. Remember, What we're trying to do here is get you started and focused and moving forward in the most efficient way possible. That's why we're always talking about parallel planning. This is especially important in this 2026 going into 27 housing market, because I briefly touched with you on where the housing market stands right now. The summary is pretty easy. It's this: I'm here to support you making your first home purchase, most likely as soon as you can, because the goal is to get everybody out of the financial hole of paying high rents in today's economy by using the rent replacement strategy. Now, I've referenced some other episodes in the first 6 steps to help clarify, given extra tips and data and math. And there's a good reason for that, because we want you to follow the 10 steps in order, but the goal here is to educate you so you can make progress with growing confidence with each and every episode. But don't go astray and go and try to listen to every other episode before you come back to the 10 steps. Stay in order. Remember, this is your journey. And only you know if you're the kind of person that wants to be crazy, super informed and over-research everything, or if you're a fly-by-the-seat-of-your-pants person. There are a lot of listeners out there that found these A to Z episodes, the definitions, very calming, a stress reliever, because it helped them gain confidence. But my greatest recommendation is to spend more time on steps 1 through 6, and especially working on hiring that team that's going to help you. You want to get them first and start your plan with them before you try to go crazy over researching everything. I can vouch for the fact there is so much to learn. You're never going to feel like you learn it all. We as realtors, because of the changes in the market, including vocabulary and definitions, we're learning something new every day. What transaction I do right now is absolutely not the same as a transaction that I would have done 3 months ago. So if you try to learn everything, and you're going to end up over-researching, and you're going to waste years renting, which is going to ultimately hurt your financial well-being, and that's going to slow down your path to wealth and stability, which is what we're trying to do. So let me be clear. You don't need to binge A to Z before you start your planning. Use it as a tool while you plan with your team. Parallel planning is starting your planning on education on multiple different fronts, because steps 1 through 6 take time to work through. And the sooner you start those, the better your end result. Here's one of the things I tell all the listeners, no matter whenever you find this podcast, I recommend making a playlist of supplementary podcasts to listen to. This is a great thing to do while you're finishing up these 10 steps. So which one should go on that playlist? Well, you guessed it. It depends. It's your thing. It's your individual buying process. What do you need to feel more confident? How much can you afford? How much are closing costs? Rent versus buy? Should you wait? How do you know if you have the right realtor, lender, interest rate? Well, if you want to put those on the playlist, those questions are answered in this order: 443, 438, 460, 457, 437, 339, 340, and 454. Now, you don't stop the car or pause your workout. Just when you have time, you can go to the show notes at the bottom of this podcast, and that'll give you the episode guide to find all of those podcasts on all of those topics. Or you can go to howtobuyahome.com and find the episode guide there, and then build your own playlist. You want to use that for your parallel planning and learning. It's been almost 7 years of sharing all the insider tips for first-time homebuyers here at the podcast. So everything you need to know is in the podcast library somewhere. And all of those real estate terms and definitions, they're there for you in over 20 episodes, and they start back in episode 94. I broke them down in simple, practical explanations. And, it was a long time ago. So if you can handle, a little bit lesser quality on the audio. And I think I was throwing a lot more dad jokes in back then. But if you can handle that, you're going to gain confidence and comprehension in the process. And that's a good thing. Confidence is so important in the home buying process. I heard something once about confidence versus fear, and it totally blew my mind. You may or may not know that public speaking, it's in the top 3 common fears for humans. It's right below snakes and heights, but it's above spiders, enclosed spaces, and serious illness. So there was a British college professor who saw this list, and he immediately realized that, it didn't take years of therapy to fix this one. The fear of public speaking had a very solvable way to fix it. Confidence. So in an experiment, one day in class, he asked his shyest student in that class to go up to the front and speak to everybody about today's lesson. Well, the student was so petrified, he practically fainted right after the first sentence. So the professor stopped him and then he asked the student, hey, do you like football? Now, this was in the UK, so that's, what we call soccer over here. And of course, being a good English lad, the student said that his football team was probably his most favorite thing in the entire world. So the professor said, you know what? In the last game, I thought the midfield play was rubbish. And the manager was an absolute plonker. I love that. That's my favorite British word, plonker. It means dummy. As the student started to rebut the professor and create a debate, the professor stopped him mid-sentence and told him to address the entire class on his thoughts as if he was giving the class a lecture. Well, the student confidently dropped a passionate speech that was worthy of a TED Talk. With confidence in the material, the normally petrifying human fear dissolves away. So start at episode 94 if all the definitions are freaking you out. Mix in a definition and terms episode while you're working on your big three so you can get confident in this material. Get empowered with knowledge. And remember, as you dive into all those terms, it's not an excuse for you over-researchers to skip steps and go down the definition rabbit hole. Not only would it take you months to learn them all confidently, but here's the thing. You might not need 50, 60, 80% of them because each of your processes are going to be different and nobody needs to know everything about real estate because your path is only going to use part of what you need to know. Start steps 1 and 2 first. You're at step 7. So if you haven't done that, then hey, I'm telling you, action is going to do way more than just listening. Decide first and then get your guides so that you can have multiple people helping you build this custom plan. With a caring real estate support team, some would say with, like unicorn qualities, you can start your planning and keep learning all at the same time. Go to howtobuyahome.com, get your super squad today. And then when you've got your unicorns, don't be afraid to push yourself in your own research. It's all here. Go through the show notes, check out the episode guide, build your custom playlist, cut out the music in the car or your work commute or at the gym or walking your dog and listen to your parallel planning playlist. I do my best to make the edification entertaining or at least palatable so you're not feeling like you're learning math or vocabulary like you're studying for the SAT or an AP test. And especially if you're brand new to this. The definitions can be a great place to help you gain confidence in a short time. Knowledge creates the confidence, and that eliminates the fear. You can do this.
Looking for more DIY education or your own personal step-by-step guidance through the home buying journey? Since 2019, How to Buy a Home has been the #1 resource for first-time homebuyers. So visit howtobuyahome.com to get started.